Hey, everybody, welcome to the Buck Brief. Very special episode by special request of my mother in law. I'm just going to say it. She's a huge fan of the chicks on the right, Daisy and Mock, who I have known actually for many years and been a fan of in the business. And now I get to have them after they were so kind as to have me on their show several times back in the day. I have you ladies. Thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you for having us.
It's amazing. It's
Great to
been
be
way
here.
too long, and we're glad to see you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I want to say I was on Chicks on the Right maybe a decade ago, right? I mean, it's been a while, ladies. We think about this.
It's
Probably 2014,
yeah.
20. Yeah. So
It was back in our radio days. Now we're just doing the podcasting, which we love. But
you're
yeah, back in the
digital
radio
now.
days.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, I was on the Chicks on the Right radio show. Well, Chicks on the
Mhm.
Right, you're here. You're going to explain the world to us. And let me start with this. The news that's breaking as we talk. It's not official, but it's looking pretty official. RFK Jr. We know he's making an announcement Friday. We know he's going to be in Arizona, and Trump's going to be in Arizona, so that's a coincidence. And there are reports that he is going to formally endorse Trump. Let's assume, for the purpose of conversation, that's true, but we're not taking it as, we're not reporting it as true. But let's say that that does happen. What does that mean to this race if RFK Jr. goes all in on Trump officially?
I think it'd be fantastic. There, I mean, are there any independents left? I guess there are people that aren't on one side or the other, right? So some of those people that were in the bag for him, I think that would help them at least go over to the Trump side. Plus, I think there would be obviously something in it for him. There's always deals being made behind the scenes, right? And he would probably have some place in the cabinet, like HHS or something like that.
Well, and we talked on our live stream this morning on our show, just the fact that Nicole Shanahan had done those interviews that kind of went viral yesterday. And there was no real sign from RFK how he felt about that. Because I kept looking at his Twitter feed, waiting, or his X feed rather, waiting for him to respond. And so I was wondering, like, is she going rogue? Is he down with what she's saying? And so if it seems that this is showing that he is down, and it would be kind of amazing if it's true that she kind of intimated that he could be part of HHS, and that would be a very, very interesting role for him to take.
Yeah, putting him in charge of HHS. I mean, I've talked about the possibility as well, like having him run the FDA, be quite a scene, quite a possibility of real, let's just say, discomfort within the bureaucracy. I think that's very
Yeah.
that's very possible.
I love that word. Yeah.
Do you think that he would take that? Is that the position he wants? HHS?
I think he wants president.
But we know he's
But
not
you
getting that, right? So that's all.
Yeah.
That's not happening. Yeah.
But listen, if he can do the things like, maybe join up with Rand Paul and go after Fauci and do some of the things where he can help, stuff like, they talk about childhood sicknesses and, kids being the sickest that they've ever been, and diseases and stuff like that, and children, and doing things to help, which he's talked about, things like, I think that if he is put in a position where he can help, I do think that he's somewhat sincere in that respect, where he wants to do that. So I think that he probably would want to do that. Plus, I think she wants to be governor of California now.
That's what it sounds like.
She's got aspirations to do that.
Interesting. Well, I think that just given how, if you look at it numerically, right, 5% roughly of the electorate seems like they're RFK Jr. voters, which is not the biggest we've ever seen for a third-party candidate. Obviously, Ross Perot. I mean, there have been bigger numbers out there and an actual election, but it's big enough that if the polls are showing Trump up, let's say 2 to 5 points in swing states, 10,000 votes here, 20,000 votes there could make the difference. I also have to think the Democrats, this is like the Kennedy brand in a sense. I know they're going to say he's gone rogue, but for a Kennedy to back Trump is a big deal. And I think they're going to hate RFK Jr. forever if he does this, forever and ever.
Yeah, but he needs to be very clear about why he's doing it. And he needs to kind of get a good dig in on the Democrats and say, hey, listen, they're putting up obstacles. These are the guys who preached about democracy all the time, but they're engaging in the exact opposite of that. So, I mean, he needs to make sure, I hope that if he does do this, which we feel like he's going to be doing this, that he makes it abundantly clear that the Democrats are being obstructive and the Republicans aren't.
And because he even said, or Nicole said anyway, that she believes, and I'm assuming that by extension, RFK believes it too, that Trump is sincere in his interest to take their concerns seriously. And, to what extent he implements their policy ideas, I don't know, but they believe that he's willing to listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they absolutely know that Democrats have been, just like Daisy said, obstructive. They've been using lawfare to try to keep him off of ballots. I mean, the lengths that they are going to block a fair election process, that should be the message. And it should be screamed from the rooftops that this is Democrats being corrupt and getting involved and in the way of fair and free elections.
Yeah, they're just anti-American a-holes.
That's another. Well, with that in mind, let's talk about the DNC here in just a second. We'll get into the DNC and the speakers, but just first up, a word from our sponsor, Birch Gold Group. If you had $1 million in 2009, today it'd be worth less than $700,000 if just left in the bank. Out of control government spending has been chipping away at your hard-earned dollars for a long time. This is why central banks and savvy investors are buying gold. For thousands of years, gold has withstood war, famine, economic downturns. It has been a stalwart hedge against inflation and hyperinflation. The company I trust to help you diversify into gold is the Birch Gold Group. For over 20 years, Birch Gold has helped concerned Americans convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Best part is, it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. To learn more, text the word BUCK to 989898 and get a free, no-obligation info kit on gold from the Birch Gold Group. Again, text BUCK to 989898 to protect your hard-earned savings today. All right, chicks on the right. How has it been with the DNC on the left?
The DJ was really good.
So good. Oh my gosh. What was that, day 2?
Yeah.
Day 2 rocked out. But Daisy made a great point about the fact that the roll call was prime time.
Mm-hmm.
This was insane to me because the RNC typically has always had that midday because nobody cares about watching each state go through their formality of the roll call. But make your point because it was well taken.
I mean, I think the reason that they did that is because they can't talk about policy. They have our country is a complete dumpster fire right now. They can't talk about Kamala's actual record, Joe Biden's actual record. They can't put actual people on the stage, real Americans on the stage, which is something that the RNC did. And so this is what they're doing for 3 hours. They get a DJ up on stage and they're like, every single state gets their own song. And that's just going to take up 3 hours. And listen, we could rock out. We're like, oh, cool. There's just some great songs. This is great. But it's useless to the American people. It doesn't show us, what are your policy? What are your stances on things? What are you going to do to make things better when you're the ones who caused this dumpster fire over the past 3.5 years?
Yes, I find it interesting to watch Democrats on the one hand trying to tell everybody that Joe Biden is amazing, they love him. But on the other hand, they had to shove him out of the spotlight and, almost broke his hip in doing so. I mean, they really went after him, right? And then on the one hand, we all knew that they even thought Kamala Harris was a drag on the Biden ticket when Biden was the guy, right? They were worried about, and now it's
a couple months ago.
Just a few months ago. I'm not talking about ancient history here. And now it's, she's amazing, she's ready for this moment, and everyone loves her. None of them, like with Obama, Democrats do love him. And there are Democrats who love Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. And there were Democrats who love Hillary Clinton. I would pose to you ladies, I don't think there are any Democrats who love Kamala Harris. I think it's all a fraud.
Or I don't know. Are they like in a group
trance?
Yeah, like because they're pretending really, really well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's almost like they're such sheep that they have just been told, these are your marching orders. Now she's great, and go. Yeah, and they just fall in line.
Yeah, there's a lobotomized sheep. Yeah, it's crazy, but it shows you the power of the media, right? And how they can take somebody that had a 30% approval rating like 2 seconds ago, and now they've like, oh no, actually she doesn't. She's awesome. Look how shiny and new she is, and let's talk about her experience as Attorney General. But let's not talk about her experience as vice president when she's vice president right now. Right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I've the whiplash that we have on a whole range of these things. I mean, just think about this. You guys might have seen Elon sharing on X Biden's defiant tweet in July, being like, I am the guy, I won the primary, it's my party, like, deal with it, basically. And then, no, right? And we're all supposed to go, oh, look at this. Look at
But he made that decision all on his own.
Oh my God.
He made it all by himself.
It's funny. I think in the beginning, it was inducements from the Democrat, establishment and apparatus around him. And then I think it turned into threats like, all of your relatives will be unwelcome at the cocktail parties. Your grandchildren will no longer have their pick of Ivy League schools just because their name is Biden. Like, I think that's what I think Nancy Pelosi got ruthless with him.
Oh, totally. She was drunk and ruthless. And they were probably making deals behind the scenes. They were like, when you say, oh, your kids aren't going to get Ivy Leagues, I'm sure that there were other deals that were made. That Jill had to have some sort of deal that was made with her. And Hunter, imagine what Hunter got. I can only imagine.
It's infuriating to even think about it.
Well, we know he's going to get no prison time. So that's
totally.
One of the other funniest things is Biden saying, I'm not going to pardon him. It's not going to happen. It's like, dude, I've even said this. If I were Joe Biden and my son were an absolute degenerate fool who had broken the laws that he's broken, I'd pardon. I mean, I'm not letting my son go to prison if I'm the president. Sorry.
Right.
Like, it's just not happening. So I don't even blame him for it. I just think it's funny that he even lies about that. He should just defer, be like, I'm going to wait till the justice system takes its whole process and I'll comment later. Instead, he's just outright lying. But no one expects Biden to ever tell the truth. That's the thing.
Right.
There's no expectation of truthfulness.
None of them tell the truth. I mean, look at this Walz guy.
Oh my gosh.
He's the worst of all of them. Kamala's a liar. This Walz guy is like the poster boy for lying. He's the worst. And then they prop him up as if he's some sort of deity. It's gross. They're all gross.
Seen, I love this. What part of the country are you ladies in these days? Like, where are you?
I'm in Texas.
Okay.
And I'm still in Indianapolis for now, but moving to South Carolina in a few months.
Oh, nice. Well, I was just going to say, you're in places where people don't wear camouflage, ironically. Like, I grew up in New York City, and so people in Brooklyn will wear camouflage because it's like, look at me. Like, I'm against the military industrial establishment, so I wear camo. It's like, or you could just be somebody who, like, goes deer hunting, right? But I think it's funny. It's funny that have you seen these? There's articles about how Tim Walz with his like camo Harris Walz hat is like helping reclaim red rural America. I'm like, I don't think it's just you wear a camo hat and they like you. I don't think it's that easy.
No.
That was Rolling Stone. We just saw that tweet today that they were like, look at, now they like country music. They're getting all the country music fans.
For crying out. That's not how it works. That's not any of this works.
Yeah. No. They're pushing it hard though. Let's talk more about Walz actually in a second. I'm curious what you ladies think as to whether basically, and just hold your thought on this one till we come back from our sponsor read, but does he matter? And yes or no or why? Let's get to that. But first up, I've been thinking a lot about launching an e-newsletter for a long time, and I finally did it. And now each week on Monday, everybody who signs up gets my best analysis. It's not a rehash of the radio show or even a preview of the radio show. It's totally separate. It's analysis about politics, current events, and also I've partnered with Brad Thomas, who's a brilliant financial mind, to look at what's going on in the world and then look at how that can affect the bottom line. So Brad Thomas and I have teamed up together on this initiative. It's a free newsletter that I think you should all just sign up for. It's an email. It just comes into your box. It's so easy, and it's totally free, publishing every Monday. So please sign up. Go to theurgentmessage.com. That's theurgentmessage.com. Easy to sign up, easy to receive, theurgentmessage.com. Okay, Tim Walz, does he matter? Yes, no, why?
He matters to people that aren't very smart. And there's a lot of those people in the country that we, because I mean, look at a lot of our elected leaders. That's how we always look at each other and go, how are these people in charge? And it's because there are a lot of stupid people in this country, frankly. And so I think he matters because the media can manipulate people into thinking that he's not a socialist, which he is. And, they can say he's folksy and, he's just a regular guy. And he's a coach. Call him coach,
Isn't there so much condescension about this too?
Yes.
Because you have a guy who the whole deal here with him, right, is, he's like a Home Depot dad and he wears Carhartt.
Totally.
And, he's just like, oh, gosh, shucks, I'm from the Midwest. I'm like, yeah, and he's a communist. I mean,
Right.
he has the same politics
Totally.
as Nancy Pelosi. He agrees with her
Or
on
worse.
everything. So
Yeah.
you get Pelosi politics in a Carhartt jacket, and you're supposed
Right.
to just, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
so. I think that there are
Uh-huh.
people who are working for a living in all these states, particularly these red states they're trying to fool, or these purple states they're trying to fool, and they're like, no, I know who this guy is.
Well, and then add to everything you just said, the fact that he cannot tell the truth about the most basic things. And he's a recipe for disaster. I have to think that there are at least some people, maybe not Kamala herself, but there are some people on her team who are having some regret about this choice, because everything that comes out almost every single day, there's some news story about some mistruth of his.
Yeah. But they couldn't have Shapiro be the guy, because we all
reasons.
We all know why that is.
Now, what do you think about this? It was funny because the official story they ran, right? And this is where we're getting a little 4D chess here, right? The official story they ran about why it wasn't Shapiro. And I would say this, I mean, I would be much more worried about how this is going to go.
Yeah.
I say every day on radio, I'm like, if Trump stays in the race, meaning, it's like if he doesn't drive the car into a wall or something crazy, he doesn't have like engine failure, but if he stays in the race, he's going to win. I'm very
Do you
confident
really
that-
think so? Because I know
Yes.
that my husband says that you've been very optimistic
Yes.
compared to Clay on this
Yes.
issue. And I'm
Yes.
just curious, like, where are you getting the optimism? Because I have not felt that.
And
for a
I'm
while.
optimistic and she's pessimistic. So this is where we are.
Well, yeah.
So where
you
is
ladies
your
are going to have
optimism?
me as a guest on your podcast.
Yeah, we
I feel like
do. We totally do.
So,
Yeah.
No, anytime. But no, I'll say this about why I'm optimistic. I think that the more that every day that they have to prop up this complete mirage of Kamala Harris, they're losing ground. Every day that they have to not talk about policy, and now they're not losing ground with the Democrat Party faithful. They would vote for a dead person before they'd vote for Trump. I mean, truly and sincerely, they would. But if it came down to that, but the Trump focus, I think, is good enough. It's not perfect, but good enough from the campaign side that white working class guy voters in the key states, they're going to determine the election, and I think they're going Trump. I don't think they're going for Kamala
And you're not
Harris this
worried
time.
about all the ridiculous suburban women that are crazy with the pussy hats and all the things?
Oh, we've already lost them. That's not even. If you're wearing one of those weird hats to a rally, you're not voting for Trump. Not now, not
Yeah.
ever. So that's
And
I view it as
feel the same
essentially
way.
sunk cost.
Yeah, I feel the same way you do. And I think that you can tell, the media and all these yahoos can tell people, like where I live, oh, the economy's great. Your life is great. But people know what their lives are like,
Right.
Yeah.
And so you can tell people until you're blue in the face what you think or what you want them to think their lives are like, but they live their reality. They live their lives. So shut up, Don Lemon.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I do think that there's always an undersampling and underpolling of Trump that occurs. It's within the margin of error. I'm not saying it's some kind of I don't think it's some big conspiracy against him, but it is kind of funny that this seems to happen consistently. But whatever the numbers are for him in Michigan, even based on the 2020, the polling is always below how he performs.
Yeah.
So if he outperforms in Michigan, Pennsylvania, I mean, Wisconsin feels tough, but the same thing. If he outperforms where he is right now in those states, I think he wins. I think he wins all three. And I also don't think that Kamala Harris I don't think she's a realistic threat to win in Arizona or Nevada or Georgia for that matter. So I'm trying to think of where else. It really is going to come down to the three states and how those electoral votes go. So with that in mind,
conservatives are quieter, don't you think? Don't you think that just in historically, we've always been sort of like that? We don't outwardly talk about our conservatism, at least people that we've come in contact with.
Yeah, well, but, I mean, it's funny because people on the right will talk about like, oh, it's a psyop, and then they'll turn around and look at me. They're like, what's all this support for Kamala? Why? And I'm like, it's a psyop, guys. Like this is the whole point. Like you say this all the time. It's like sometimes on the right, I feel like they'll say false flag for all these things. I'm like, no. And then a false flag happens. And I'm like, what are you not seeing? It's a false flag.
Right.
This is a false flag. They'll use the word psyop a lot in conversations among our people on the right. And this time around, the media is all in on this. I mean, they're absolutely
they are.
They're absolutely terrified at the notion of a Donald Trump win. So there's no like respectability or integrity or those are not impediments to what they're willing to do. And so
clearly
they're creating this false perception of Kamala. But look, I admit we're in a country where, 48 or 49% of the electorate is effectively insane. And they're not, you're not. What Mitt Romney said a long time ago wasn't right, but it wasn't that wrong either about like, look, there's some people you're just not going to win and you got to accept that. I mean, it was Mitt, so it didn't help. It sounded like he was swatting the pores with $1,000 bills when he said it, but it's just the truth. But I do think that, it's very likely Trump's going to win. Well, we'll come in. Let's get into some of if you have any big election predictions or thoughts. We'll close with that in a second. But first up, our sponsor here is IFCJ. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the front lines helping our brothers and sisters in Israel at an incredibly difficult time. As you see from the headlines, still on high alert over there, and there could be an attack any moment from Iran. There are still rockets being fired. There's still hostages being held by Hamas. It's a very dangerous time, and Israel needs all of its allies to step up and do what they can. There are bomb shelters, for example, that are keeping Israelis safe, but they need to be equipped with essentials for survival, including food and water. And this is where the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews can be most helpful. The fellowship has initiated a project to provide people with access to bomb shelters with emergency food boxes. 10,000 of these boxes have been delivered, and they are preparing now to deliver thousands more. Donate $45 to help provide an emergency food box that includes items like food, water, baby formula, and critical essentials for vulnerable Israelis who are going to be trapped in bomb shelters in the days and weeks ahead. Go to supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org. Ladies, any big thoughts on where this is going? And you can even tell me that you think Trump's going to lose, and then what country are you planning? It's like the classic liberal thing, like, I'm going to move to Canada. I'm not moving to Canada. Like, nice people, but communism. I got to move.
Funny.
I'm moving to like Singapore or something, some authoritarian, hyper-capitalist state where you're not allowed to spit on the sidewalk. That's where I got to go.
I told her once, because her parents are Polish, and she's like, first generation basically. And I told her a couple weeks ago, I'm like, I think there's this thing where you could actually regain your Polish citizenship if things just go completely crazy here. And I don't think,
can I come?
Can I come with you? Can I get your suitcase if things go if things go full commie here? Because they've got it right over there in Hungary. They've got things going okay over in Poland and Hungary. But no, I don't think you would do that. But no. I'm trying to be positive. I feel like people are gonna do the right thing. Because this is.
Can I tell you, this is very simple, but this is kind of a gut thing for me, and I can get your reaction to it. Trump's not going out a loser. There's just no way Trump's going out, because I think this is probably the last time he's going to run, right? I mean,
it has to be.
Right?
Oh,
I mean, people say maybe not, and I'm like, guys,
way.
Let's not be insane.
No.
Let's not be insane. Trump's to me, it's just you take what do you think about this? Just Trump's not going out a loser. He's just not doing it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is a winner. The guy is,
except for last time. And so the things that I worry about are the things that happened last time, where there's all these irregularities. And I don't know that the RNC, particularly under Ronna McDaniel, did anything to make sure that those same kinds of irregularities would not be an issue this time around. I just don't feel very confident.
It was very diplomatic. The way that you said that.
Thank you very much.
I apprate that. That helps us avoid getting sued here. The way
right.
that you said
We
it,
get it.
So,
we totally understand.
The Buckster does not want to be bankrupted talking about the irregularities.
Right. Well,
we
also use Pig Latin every now and then. We'll say Olin stay, action LA.
Action LA.
So
that's right.
That works.
Yeah. Well, if Kamala wins and the purge comes and they're locking us all up, at least we can all hang out, ladies. So
that's right. It'll be a lot of fun.
No, but on the real for a second, I always remember when I was just a young buck in the business and getting going. You ladies were so nice and always were so enthusiastic and friendly when I came on your show. So as soon as I heard, in all seriousness, my mother-in-law is like a super fan of you guys, listens every day. And I got to get all the brownie points with my in-laws that I can. I was like, well, obviously I'm gonna have those ladies are great. I'm gonna have them on, but you are two of the good ones.
Her.
I'm sorry?
We'll have to meet her.
Yeah, absolutely. But you are two of the good ones in the business, and I'm so glad that the podcast is going as well as it is for you guys, and everything is moving along. So Thank you, and we'll check it. Let's check in again after the election. Yeah. What do you? By the way, I'll come on your show anytime.
We
You
would
guys let me
love to
know.
have you on our show.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
would
that'd
love
be fun.
that.
That'd be fun. All right, ladies.
Totally.
Daisy and Mock,
Thank
great
you.
to see you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.